Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will cover a very high yield pharmaceutical tablets for GPAT including pre-compression parameter, tablet evaluation test, excipients, coating polymers and modified release system. These tables are extremely important for GPAT and other competitive examinations related to pharmacy. So make sure you revise them properly. So let's start one by one. Starting with the first slide, that is common excipients which are used for direct compression. So students, you are aware that direct compression requires excipients with good flow and compressibility, right? So common excipients are first one, microcrystalline cellulose which act as a diluent, binder as well as disintegrant. Example is Aerosil pH 102. Then spray-dried lactose which is used as a diluent, for example fast flow lactose. Mannitol which is a non-hygroscopic sweet diluent, example peritol. Then pre-gelatinized starch which is used as a binder as well as disintegrant, example starch 1500. Then the next is colloidal silicon dioxide. It is used as a glidant, for example Aerosil 200. Okay, students, remember from GPAT point of view, MCC, that is microcrystalline cellulose, is a backbone for direct compression. Moving to next slide. So next slide is about common binders and their concentrations. So binders are excipients used to hold particles together, right? Whatever the powder particles are being used, they are held together with the help of these binders during tablet formulation. PVP is used in the range of 0.5 to 5%, which is very common and used in wet granulation. Then HPMC is used in typical concentration of 2 to 4% weight by weight and act as a film former. Then starch paste is commonly used at 5 to 10 percentage and it is used as a traditional binder. Then pre-gelatinized starch is used in 3 to 10% and it acts as a binder as well as disintegrant. Gelatin used at 1 to 5% for strong binding and moisture sensitiveness. Then acacia, a natural binder, is used at 1 to 5%, and then the last one, that is sucrose syrup, is generally used as 50 to 70% solution, especially in lozenges and chewable tablets. From exam point of view, PVP and HPMC are most important. Moving to next slide. Enteric coating polymers. So students, enteric coating protects the drug from gastric acid, right? And this drug, this dissolve at a particular pH. So starting with the first one, CAP, that is cellulose acetate phthalate, it dissolves at above pH 6. Then HPMCP dissolves at about 5.5 to 6.8. Then PVAP dissolves at above pH 5. Shellac dissolves at above pH 7. Eudragit L 100 dissolves at above pH 6 and Eudragit S 100 dissolves at above pH 7. Okay. One more important trick for this slide. Remember, Eudragit L in intestine, whereas Eudragit S, it dissolves in colon. Okay, moving to next slide. So next slide is about common lubricants and their concentration. So lubricants are used to reduce friction between tablets and dye wall during compression. Okay, important lubricants are first one, magnesium stearate. Okay, so it is used at 0.25 to 2%, the most commonly used lubricant. Calcium stearate used at 0.5 to 2% and is less hygroscopic than magnesium stearate. Okay, then the next one, stearic acid, it is used at 1 to 5% and it is also used as lubricant. Then talc is used at 1 to 10%, whereas sodium stearyl Fumarate is used at 0.5 to 2%. Okay. So excess magnesium stearate reduce tablet dissolution because it is hydrophobic. Okay. So this can be asked in examination. Moving to next slide. So next slide is about common disintegrants. So students, you are aware that disintegrants help tablets break apart after administration. Common disintegrant include starch in concentration of 5 to 15 and it work by swelling. Okay. Then MCC in concentration of 5 to 15 it works by wicking, that is acting to absorb or draw off liquid by capillary action. Then moving to third one, that is sodium starch glycolate. It is used in the concentration of 2 to 8 and shows rapid swelling. Moving to next one, Croscarmallose sodium is used in concentration of 2 to 5% and works by swelling and wicking. Then moving to next one, Crospovidone in 2 to 5% work by capillary action only. Students, remember, Crospovidone does not swell. Okay, moving to next slide. So next slide is about common glidants. You are aware that glidants are used to improve flow properties of powders, right? So common glidants are first one, colloidal silicon dioxide used at 0.1 to 0.5% and this is most effective glidant. Then talc used at 1 to 5 percentage. Then starch, it is used in same proportion, that is 1 to 5%. Magnesium stearate is used at 0.25 to 1 percentage, right? Through it, though it is a weak glidant. Then moving to next one, that is calcium silicate. It is used in concentration of 0.5 to 2%. Okay. So colloidal silicon dioxide is best and most effective glidant. Okay. So you can remember the first point, important from examination point of view. Moving to next slide, that is common tablet tooling types, right? So tablet tooling refers to punch and die system which is used for tablet compression. Okay. The first one, B tooling, that is American standard. Its punch head diameter is 0.750 inch and used for most standard tablets. Then moving to second one, D tooling, again American. Its punch head diameter is 1 inch and it is used for large or deep concave tablets. Then the third one, BB tooling, that is as per European, it is similar to B tooling and punch diameter is 19 mm. Then the last one, that is TSM or tablet specification manual, which defines B and D tooling standards. Students, remember that D tooling is used for large tablet, important for examination. Moving to next slide. So tablet hardness or crushing strength. Hardness indicate the resistance of a tablet to break under pressure. Typical hardness ranges are, for chewable tablet it should be 3 to 6 kp, that is kilopounds, because they must be soft. Then standard immediate release tablet has hardness of 4 to 10 kp. Then control release or coated tablet have 8 to 15 kp, as higher hardness helps prevent capping and coating damage. Okay, so remember, increasing hardness reduces friability but may increase disintegration time too. Okay, then moving to next slide, that is disintegration time limits as per USP. So students, disintegration time checks how fast a tablet breaks down into smaller particles or smaller pieces, right? So according to USP, uncoated tablet has 30 minutes, film coated tablets 30 minutes, then enteric coated tablet must resist disintegration for 2 hours in acidic medium, then disintegrate within 60 minutes in buffer. Then for buccal and sublingual tablets it is 4 minutes, and for effervescence tablet it is 5 minutes in water. Okay, very important from exam point, enteric coated tablet must not disintegrate in acid. Okay, so remember this point. Moving to next one, friability test USP. Friability test is used to check the mechanical strength of tablet, that is, how well a tablet can resist abrasion during handling, packaging and transportation. Right? According to USP, for uncoated tablet, the maximum accepted weight loss is not more than 1%. Whereas for coated type of tablet, there is no official USP limit, but generally the acceptable loss is 0.5 to 1%, and tablet must pass the appearance test. Okay, so friability test is mainly applicable to uncoated tablet. Remember, moving to next. So this is about Carr's index and Hausner's ratio. So these parameters are used to evaluate powder flow properties. For excellent flow, the Carr's index has to be equal to or less than 10, whereas Hausner's ratio 1 to 1.11. Whereas for good flow, Carr's index 11 to 15, Hausner's ratio 1.12 to 1.18. For fair, Carr's index, that is 16 to 20, whereas Hausner's ratio 1.19 to 1.25. For passable, Carr's index has to be 21 to 25, whereas Hausner's ratio 1.26 to 1.34. For poor, Carr's index is 26 to 31, whereas Hausner's ratio is 1.35 to 1.45. For very poor, Carr's index percentage is 32 to 37, whereas Hausner's ratio is 1.46 to 1.59. And for extremely poor, Carr's index percentage is above 38, whereas Hausner's ratio percentage is above 1.60. So from examination point of view, remember that low Carr's index and Hausner's ratio indicates a better flow. Okay. So as the value keeps on increasing, their flow property keeps on decreasing. Moving to next slide. So next slide is about angle of repose. Okay. So angle of repose measures the flowability of powder. So less than 25 degree shows excellent flow, 25 to 30 degree good flow, then 30 to 40 degree has a passable flow, and greater than 40 degree shows very poor flow. Okay, it means that higher angle of repose, more poorer flow. Moving to the next slide. Types of modified release dosage form. So students, modified release dosage forms are designed to alter the timing or rate of drug release. These are classified as first one, sustained release. So here drug is released slowly over prolonged period of time to maintain therapeutic effect. Then the second one, control release. Here drug is released at a predetermined and controlled rate, right? Ideally maintaining constant plasma concentration. Then the third one is extended release, right? So formulation that extend the duration of action and reduce dose frequency. Then the fourth one, that is delayed release. So drug release occurs after a lag time. Okay. So best example is enteric coated tablets. Last one, repeat action. That is here second dose is released later. Okay. So remember from examination point of view, enteric coating is for delayed release, whereas osmotic pumps, these are control release. Okay. So these are most important pharmaceutical tablets for GPAT, explained clearly step by step. If you revise this properly, you can easily score multiple questions from tablet technology. Okay. So if you found this video useful, please do like, share and subscribe, as well as do comment. Thank you and happy studying.